Hey, that was faster than anticipated. Hey, folks, thanks for tuning in to the BAMP podcast. I'm your host, Mike Lafferty, and I'm here talking to Dan Leon Taylor. How you doing, Dan?
I am good. Nice to talk with you again, Mike.
Good. It's been a few years. I would last talk to you when I was still doing drunk podcasts. So,
Oh, okay, yeah.
this will be your first time experience with Mike Lafferty as a sober host. So,
Oh, well, yeah, it'll be 9 years for me, August 28th.
oh, congratulations!
Thanks.
That's an accomplishment.
Yeah, especially from a guy that wrote a comic book about superheroes hanging out in a bar.
All right. Yeah. I haven't cut off completely, but I've just dialed way down.
I hear you.
So. All right. 1 second, please. I've got to play this contractually obligated cheesy musical video intro. So 1 sec. That is just to assure all of our listeners and viewers that they are in fact engaging with a high quality.
High quality.
None of these little, back room basement office podcasts for you folks. So, anyway, Dan, we should tell them about your podcast real fast.
I do a podcast called Luchador Gringo and El Mayo, a Lucha Libre cinema podcast in which Michael May and I discuss luchador movies from obviously a gringo point of view. And if you've never seen luchador movies, they are fantastic. They are the Mexican masked superheroes, but are wrestlers. So they wrestle by day, fight Frankenstein's monster by night.
That is really, it's amazing to me that American wrestling has never had that crossover success into movies the way Mexican wrestling has.
No, and you would think that because all these characters in these luchador movies, they pretty much play the same role that they play in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
And you would, 20 years ago, it would have been awesome to see The Rock and Steve Austin fight Martians or, spies from Russia or something like that as their ring characters.
Yeah, it's good for the luchadors for managing to break over like that. But it's an interesting genre. There are very few Hero System had an RPG take on the luchador cinema genre, which I thought was really, really fun. But it's kind of this rich little pop culture vein that was like under my radar completely till about 5 years ago.
Yeah, there are about 150 luchador movies that are unofficial, official luchador movies, and they're the one Santo is probably the best known, and he's like Batman and Elvis rolled into one. He is Robin Hood and The Rock all together, and he faces all sorts of monsters and super spies and everything.
Are they still making these, or is it pretty much done at this point?
They're pretty much done. They started in the mid 50s and wrapped up somewhere in the mid 80s.
Okay, cool. So check out Dan's podcast on wherever you get your podcast. It's cool stuff. And let us talk about Amazon Vella. And I just found your page there. Let me pull this up. And we have a wrestling. We have a writing show. We do sometimes on Wednesdays and Thursdays. I have Walt on, Walt Rebelliard. I remember from back in the gaming days. He's a novelist now. A couple other guys on. And we've been talking about Amazon Vella. It's really interesting to me. I'm not quite sure I figured out if it's right for me, but let me ask you, how is it working out for you, and how are you enjoying it?
I am enjoying it immensely as a former not a former comic book writer, but as a comic book writer in the past. I'm not making any money yet on this, but I don't think anybody is really making any money off this except people who have had long established fan bases in like the Kindle Unlimited program. A lot of romance novels. They're doing quite well with this. But it's still officially in beta. So, I'm in it for a while. I'm not discouraged at all. And the fun part about it is it's serial writing. It's you write a story that's like a chapter or they call them episodes from like 600 words to 5,000 words. I'm keeping mine at around 1,000 to 1,100. And it's very similar to my comic book writing style, like an issue, I'll write, it's like an issue, a comic book issue.
Okay. So tell us about Adventures in Time with Zebulon Prime. What's happening here?
Adventures in Time with Zebulon Prime is very much along in the vein of, say, Rick and Morty, Loki, Back to the Future, Hitchhiker's Guide. It's time travel. As the blurb says, as a chronosphere custodian, Zebulon Prime has one job: to protect the space-time continuum and to keep it from exploding and thus obliterating the universe or imploding. The Continuum Council is still unsure about what the end result of the demise of the chronosphere would mean, but they are pretty sure it would be bad, apocalyptic bad.
It would be
My time travel is not the linear timelines like Back to the Future or even Loki, where it kind of branches off. I imagine time as a sphere, kind of like that was created at the Big Bang, and it is ever expanding.
Okay.
Just like our universe, and it has to expand to contain the universe. But time travel has been discovered, and it's happening. And like anything that expands a bubble, it becomes more fragile. And so these custodians, their job is to go and find these cracks or these rifts that have happened in the chronosphere and either repair them or stop them.
Okay. So it's kind of like time is fourth dimensional. We perceive it as linear because we're three-dimensional creatures, and the time oh God, I feel geeky. I'm sorry. All right. So since time is for the fourth dimensional, it's expanding, expands. There's going to be fractures, as you said, and these guys are the ones who fix those cracks. Yeah,
and it's not a question of when in time you are with the chronosphere. It's a question of where in time you are, like a latitude and a longitude.
Okay.
Sphere. And so there could be like 1,500 maybe cracks that's you and I talking in this podcast right now. But in one of them, we might have developed 3 ears and 14 eyes. So rather than going to different dimensions or such, my characters, it's very much a bromance or like a road picture. They will go to these different where things can be slightly different or just quite normal.
Okay. That you ever read Chronicles of Amber by Zelazny?
No, I never read that one. It's always been floating around, but no, I'm familiar with it, but haven't read it. You were talking about things being slightly different parts of the timeline or alternate timeline.
I can't recommend the series, but the first book kind of had this sort of chaotic energy to it. You know, when the idea was new, and he had this. They called it hell writing, the experience of going from one reality to another, just through a force of will. You're driving down the road, you decide to change realities, and all of a sudden the KFC is now a KFL, where they have Kentucky Fried Lizards. And all the cars around you are turning into mecha camels, or and just lots of cool weird scenes like that. And unfortunately, like in the other books, it kind of morphs into your standard sort of 70s fantasy series. But there's just kind of a cool energy in that first one, and that's a irrelevant tangent talking about Vella. I apologize for that, but sober Mike isn't as coherent as sometimes he might wish as you were. So right now, as I'm talking to you, I'm looking through your stories on Amazon Vella, and they haven't asked me for any money yet, Dan. I can just I'm on episode 4, and this is where I have to buy tokens. I got through episodes 1, 2, and 3, and now episode 4, I have to buy these little key tokens to continue.
Right, and everybody who signs up with this Vella program gets 200 free tokens.
Okay, gotcha.
And since my stories are shorter, 1,000 words, they tend to cost 10 tokens.
Gotcha.
Which I think when you start paying for tokens is going to be a dime.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's
in which nothing. I will get a whopping 5 cents.
Wow. Okay. Why did you choose to do this, Dan? What is the appeal to you of this platform?
Because when I'm done with it, let's say when I feel I've written enough of these, I will combine them into an actual novel.
Okay.
And at that point, I can put it out. Kind of what this is, and this is for the writers out there. This is like having beta readers available to you.
Okay.
And it's also has a sense of accountability, kind of like a school where I need to finish an episode roughly a week, kind because I don't want to disappoint my audience of 12 people or however it might be right now.
Well, so, I mean, once you realize you have an audience, that's kind of huge, right?
Yeah, and I get up early in the morning, and I just 300 words here, 300 words there. In a couple days, I've got my 1,100 words, and that sounds like a good episode. And I come up with a title for that episode. Kind of hopefully I have a good pun related to time. Sometimes not, and then I just slap it up there, and about 3 hours later, it becomes available.
Okay. Wow, that's really interesting. And so it's kind of a way to build up your beta readers, and I mean, I'll hopefully build up a fan base at the same time, right?
Exactly. And I think this would work. Like, let's say if I already had books on Amazon, and I'm not talking about any, Simon & Schuster. I'm just, Kindle.
Yeah.
Because like the books I have available on Amazon right now, we're talking little kid picture books, and
I've actually bought a couple of your Amazon books.
Oh, thanks. And it's some Hero Happy Hour stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But these established authors already, they've got their fan base, and they're doing quite well with this, which is great. And every author who I've heard from or talked to or read on other message boards, their plan is, 30 days after they do their last episode, they're going to combine it all into one book and put it out there.
Okay.
So I think it's like you said, beta readers as well as an obligation just to keep writing.
Okay. Let me ask you, how much do you get to engage with your readers? Could you say things like, "Hey, I've just finished this, and you can buy it as a novel over here on this Amazon link"?
You do have an author's note at the end of every episode,
okay,
where they don't want you to do links to say takes them away from Kindle, but you're allowed to share like social media accounts.
Okay.
And I've got like a Zebulon Prime account on Twitter and Instagram. So I'm like, go follow Zebulon Prime here. And with that, I hope to add additional material that I can't do in this Kindle Vella, like show what the insignia badge looks like, or maybe, eventually have some sort of map of the chronosphere or stuff like that.
Okay.
Get some of my artist friends from comic books to do character illustrations for me.
Yeah, I've got just from talking on the writing podcast for the last year, art for a story or a novel is huge. A good cover can just be a big deal. So
no, it sells. I mean, unfortunately, you do judge a book by its cover.
Yeah.
And from all my days working comic books and all my days shopping for books off the bookshelves in the old brick and mortar stores, it's the cover that gets me to, check it out.
Yeah, we are predictable animals in that way. But so people can find Zebulon Prime on Twitter at Zebulon_Prime, and I am now your second follower. So
I'm my first.
We got that momentum, baby. It's going to snowball from here. So, all right, cool. Well, this sounds like a really fun thing. It's been a while. I mean, since I followed Hero Happy Hour, and I picked up your kids' books, because I think we both had kids about the same time. And I was like, oh, Dan's got some kids' books, so I'll pick those up on Kindle, read them to my kid. And this is the first longer form project I've seen you do in a while. Have you just been writing in secret, or just kind of?
I have. I recently moved from, I spent 51 years in Southern California, Orange County, LA's, cousin Oliver, to I just moved to Nashville 2 years ago. And that's been great for me as far as creativity. It's kind of light the fire under the muse. I've done some work for hire stuff on and off, a lot of stuff, nothing major. Did a little writing for the Star Trek Adventures for.
Oh, nice.
RPG. I wrote all the Klingon sidebar stuff.
That is pretty cool. Yeah, one of our co-hosts, Abe Smith, also did some work for those guys. Yeah.
And so, a lot of little pay for, work for hire type stuff. But I did a toy company in Singapore tried to launch a new mecha line called Our Marauders. And I got to write the world for them and their comic books.
I remember you talking about that a few years back.
Yeah, I did it with Don Figueroa, who, is a great artist for that sort of stuff. And I think that eventually, I got paid and did well with my 6 issues. So that was good. And, but recently, something that I wrote like 12 years ago has gained some interest again, something I thought was long dead. And
what's that?
I don't think I'm at liberty to talk about it yet.
All right.
It's
There's
but
an NDA
it's
involved. I got you.
but let's just it generated a little extra more income for me again, and has reignited my fire to write again. I'm like, oh, I can actually make money at writing again. This is great. So I'm currently doing a novelization of a comic book series that I wrote 12 years ago, turning that into a novel since the comic book didn't get published past the second issue.
Oh, well, cool. That's.
If anyone remembers that was Pirate Tales way back in the day.
Let me Google that. That sounds familiar, but
pirates that are rats selling the seven seas.
well, that's pretty cool. I'm searching stuff for. That's one of those titles. Google. Yeah, there it is. Legend of Cat of Nine Tails.
Yeah.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, let me share that. That's speaking of fun covers. That's holy shit. That's a fun cover. One sec. Let me share that. So, was it a big cultural shift going from California out to Tennessee, or was not that bad really?
A huge cultural shift in California. You're always going at 80 miles an hour, and it's crowded, and everything's concrete. And I moved here, and there are trees, and I still get amazed when I see a deer.
Yeah.
Stuff like we're building a house out here now, which never would have happened in Southern California.
It's so I got family out there. Everything is so expensive. It's crazy.
Yeah. So like when you're able to shift your life in a positive way, such as slowing down and being able to get a home that you always wanted and that sort of stuff. And my kid is starting kindergarten next week, and that sort of
Oh, congrats.
in the long run, that helps the creative process, and that does help when it comes down to help to write.
I can see that. Yeah, I've got a brother in San Jose, and it's a nice town. It just everything feels like a strip mall.
Yeah, no, there are no more trees in California. They've either burned down or they tore them down and put concrete over them.
Yeah, he's making his money doing computer stuff in the valley, but I'm like, man, you're going to want to retire eventually. You should move out to Colorado, where you can still afford to buy a house and dump some money into a 401k and get away from the earthquakes.
Yeah.
So, wow, this is cool stuff, man. So how much longer? You've got, it looks like 5 or 6 episodes in Zebulon Prime. How many more do you think you have in the novel? 20, 30?
They're short. If they're about 1,000 words, I'd like to maybe hit about somewhere between 40 and 50 episodes.
Okay, cool.
Before I'll call it another thing I like about Vella is it's great for the short attention span reader, which I very much am. And I also happen to be a short attention span writer. I mean, you and I have known each other, casually for a long time, and we each know how many different projects we have each worked on over the years, and that's because I'm always jumping around. So this Kindle Vella, just writing 1,000 words at a time, gives me an opportunity to do that, and then I can jump over to work on my pirate novel, or I can work on the upcoming Hero Happy Hour 20th anniversary special or stuff like that.
Nice. Oh, hey, Walter Billiard is watching us at work, I think.
Yeah.
Walt says, I love the stories. The interface sucks. I've heard that from a few people, but I mean, still in beta, right? So maybe they'll get things kind of smoothed out, and
Right.
Yeah. I'm just amazed so much of it is free. That's crazy. I thought they would be charging per story a quarter or something, but it's
it might change, but I think they're trying to get readers into it. Sort of that sort of, hey, the first hit's free. But they're not really pushing it very much right now. It's only available on the Amazon website or the Kindle app on iPhones, is my understanding. And it's really made for phone reading, to be honest with you. When the way it's formatted, I mean, it's not to sound crass, but it's very much a 5-minute read on the toilet.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Was if we were commuting again, but it's COVID time, so we're not. It's I was going to call it commuter literature, but I think you're probably right. It's more like bathroom literature.
Yeah, and which I'm fine with. My writing's been compared to that before, so. But and this is a really popular format in other countries, and it's not available in those other countries yet. Like I said, it's beta, so hopefully they'll get it out. It'll move. It'll work.
Yeah, Walt's chiming in saying Eric Hansen, Dean Floyd, Nick Cole, and a host of others are pushing some great content through Vella. Walt, if you want to be a co-host, man, I would have been glad to have you. Nick Cole, I think most of these guys have been on the podcast before. Nick Cole's Galaxy Edge series, a huge military science fiction series. So glad to see those guys are getting involved in it too. It seems like it's really promising and really fun. I know Amazon has tried episodic fiction before. I hope this one sticks around because it looks like there's a lot of promise here.
Yeah, and it's because it reminds me of the comic books. The comic books are very episodic. I was thinking, and again, this is not, I don't have anything formulated here, but this, you got to, with all the romance and established writers, you got to think outside the box a little bit. This would be a great opportunity for, say, a group of writers to do like a share world type of thing where, and like the example that I've used is I own the domain name Pulp Hero. So if I got 6 guys or 6 authors, writers together to do a share world about pulp heroes, we got to set up some basic guidelines. But as my days as an editor of IDW and working on various projects, I know how hard it is to pull together a project like that. But if everybody just has to follow Amazon's rules, it's a lot easier. I mean, you follow Amazon's rules or you're out. It doesn't work. But the writers would be able to say, hey, I'm writing about the green, wasp in this adventures, but I have this one character, called, Dr. Science Pants come on, but, let's say you're writing Dr. Science Pants and your own, Villa story that ties into this. And I think a kind of a cross promotion that way would work really well.
And you can get everyone to leverage their own social media accounts and get more eyeballs on it. That would be a great idea. It's you used to work at IDW. I'm sure you know the problems that are inherent in getting lots of creative people to work together. Exactly,
and it is a pain.
Walt says, Dr. Science Pants is the name of my new garage band. I could get behind that, actually.
And that's one of the reasons I love writing this Vella on this Vella platform is because I'm basically doing my comic book writing, but I don't have to get an artist to help me write the story.
Yeah, that's the rough part, isn't it? You can write all the words, just getting a guy who wants to draw 22 pages for you.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the big challenge. So Dr. Science Pants is stuck in my head now.
I may have to do something with Dr. Science Pants.
Yeah, watch him show up in Rick and Morty next week. So are you digging this current season of Rick and Morty? Are you watching it?
I am, and I think it's stronger than last season.
Really? Okay, cool. I've been digging it. The Thanksgiving exploitation episode. It's been the first one I was kind of like, I could live without that one. Everything else has been pretty
I don't think I've seen that one, actually. Is that the last one? No.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that one yet.
Yeah, and then the one coming up this next week, at least on, I buy all my stuff on Apple iTunes. It's going to be the Voltron parody. This one was kind of the, for lack of a better comparison, it's basically Dan Harmon goofing on National Treasure.
Right. No, I think almost every episode is Dan Harmon goofing on something.
Yeah. J.F. Haskell and for those of you who can't see the screen, who are reading, absorbing our podcast in beautiful audio, Walter Billiard chimes in and says, J.F. Haskell, he's been on the podcast, and C.C. Ecke, hope I say that right, sir, are doing great things with the comic book genre and novel format. Oh yeah, there's graphic novels have been huge for a long time. It's one thing having a kid pointed out to me was I thought comics were on their last legs, but holy crud, man, you go to Scholastic Book Fair, graphic novels are huge. I'm like, Dogman, it's selling 900,000 copies. Book.
Honestly, like we talked about the kids book that I wrote, the Little Miss Jellybean book. I've done years of Comic-Con, San Diego. I was in IDW. I worked on a lot of big licensed books. I've self-published my own. And went to a lot of comic book conventions. I went to a children's book fair or convention and was blown away. And that's pretty much what I said. I'm pumping the brakes on comic books. I'm going to write some kids' books.
Yeah, it's I've got a couple out on Amazon Kindle that just generate like a buck or two every quarter. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's the yeah, kids, you need books, and it's I've been amazed by it, and yeah, that the idea of hey, I could do a kids book is really really appealing. I'm surprised you seem like you had some good luck there with Miss Jellybean. I'm surprised you didn't do some more in that vein. Or
Um, it's just like life getting in the way, but I probably
yeah,
will. I mean, my daughter, she's 5.5 now. She's been bugging me to do another Miss Jellybean since it's based on her, more
Mm.
or less. Um, and and it's been, I've actually gotten fun fan mail from 4-year-olds
Oh wow, that's
for
got to be
little
a huge
Miss
ego boost.
Jellybean,
That's awesome.
where they draw their own, and that's been awesome. And if anything, I want to do one. Little Miss Jellybean goes to kindergarten now, just for that.
It seems like you really should. The timing's right, right?
Yeah,
A lot of anxiety about the kid going to kindergarten. Am I right?
right.
Mine is starting. Oh Jesus, third grade next month, and in about 3 weeks. So it's a life changer, right?
Oh, it most definitely has. I mean, I had a different way that I created and wrote before Jean Louise popped into my world, and now there's a time where I was the stay-at-home
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Dad type of thing, and that was great. Loved it. It's the best job I've ever had, but it's the hardest job I ever had. But now that she's getting older, I'm able to get back into creating and writing more.
How do you find time?
I wake up early in the morning before anybody else in my family does. I'm
Okay.
old, so I wake up at 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning,
Yeah,
and
that's good. That's the
they
secret.
don't stir until about 8. So that's when I get all my writing done. Is in the brew a pot of coffee and
Mhm.
hammer out a couple hundred words a morning.
Yeah, wise man. I should start doing that. Gotta set the alarm. Well,
I
hey,
just
Dan.
wake up.
Yeah. Well, hey, I would love to have you back on in a couple months and talk about how this experiment's going for you, if you're up for that.
Oh no, most definitely, most definitely.
Okay, sweet. Well, I appreciate you being our ghostly co-host tonight. Thanks for popping in.
Oh, thanks for having me. I always enjoy rapping with you.
No worries. And let me just throw the link up one more time. You can find Dan's Luchador podcast on Twitter at Luchador Gringo. And you can follow Zebulon Prime at Zebulon Prime. And I will have, that's a really long URL for Dan's story on Vella. We'll throw that up in the show notes.
You can actually go to zebulonprime.com, and there's a link for it there.
Even better. All right. Well, hey, let me just play the cheesy musical. Hey, wait, we got another comment. Link for the new book. Yeah, let me throw it in the comments. Hang on just 1 second. I think I put that up there before you. Hey, there you go, Walt, right there. So please check it out. It's good stuff. Yep, right down there. Yeah. It'll be in the show notes as well. And let me play the cheesy musical outro. I apologize, but we're contractually obligated. Just 1 second. It grows on you, though, right? It's annoying at first, but then over time, it's.
I need that ringtone.
All right, Dan, thank you very much. And
Thank
we will
you.
catch you all next time on the BAMF podcast.